All right, we just finished our GIF animation from our stage file. And we've already posted our storyboard sketch. Now we need the third requirement, which is the refined storyboard. So, how do we do that? We go to our stage file. We've already saved it, but just make sure, go ahead and save it again. This is what you would go back to. This is your working format, your stage PSD, and your assets PSD if you want to add to or change your animation at all. But it's from your stage that we are going to make your final frames. So your animation in the stage right now, the way we did it is like a flipbook, where each layer is its own frame of animation. So I'll pass this flipbook around again. This is our flipbook. And what the timeline does is simply play through our layers with the little eyeball icon. And so when we play this flipbook, and mine's at 0.24 seconds per page, you know, it looks like things are moving. Very good. So this is what we do first. We're going to first scrap all of those animation frames, because we didn't do any fancy tweens or transitions. Then we are going to turn off the timeline. Then we are going to use our guides with our rulers, and if our rulers are not present, what do we need to do? We need to hit Command R to get them to show up. And your ruler should be set to inches. And if you see 8 inches by 8 inches at the bottom there, your rulers are set to inches. And then we're going to click on the rulers and make guides stick around our format. Okay. Now we're ready to rename this file. Because even though we can easily output the animation again, this is not for our animation. This is for our refined storyboard. So we're going to go to File, Save As. And we're going to save it as a new name. This is our third Photoshop file for this assignment. And we're going to call it Refined Storyboard. So there's multiple aspects. And I'm just going to save it to the desktop to make it easy, but eventually it will get organized into my Assignment 3 folder. The problem with you guys not going to the desktop all the time and then organizing it from there is sometimes you're putting it into someone else's assignment folder, because that was the last folder to be accessed. That's why it's also really important to name your files with your name so we can find them if they're not where you want them to be. Okay, now you can check at the upper left-hand corner that it's a new name, Refined Storyboard. Once you see that, you're going to go to Image, Canvas Size. The whole point of a refined storyboard is the printed version of our animation. So what we're going to do with the canvas size is grow space around our stack of animated frames. And the space we're going to grow is 30 inches wide by 40 inches tall. If that sounds familiar, it's the largest printable size for a 4-color offset lithography press, which is how professional printing is done. It's also what we used as a workspace for our compositing. We're going to grow it from the center. This is the only way to truly center things in Photoshop. To crop down to it, actually that's something I should do first. Mine doesn't need it, but yours might. Crop. Once you put the guides down, crop. Make sure they're all cleanly 8 by 8 inches, that there's no pixels hanging off. So if you use smart objects or something, you want to crop it, and you want to rasterize any smart objects. Okay, now I can go to Image, Canvas Size, increase it from the middle to 30 inches wide, 40 inches tall. It will be the same for everybody. And then the extension color we want is white. There's a reason we kept that white background. And you'll see it here. Now to see it all, I'm going to hit Command 0. The reason that's all of these are turned off is because my animation only plays one at a time, right? So when it plays the next one, it turns the next one off. So this is my first frame. This is my white background. I want the white background. And if your background isn't white, you can always create a new one by hitting the little post-it kind of new layer, and then go to Edit, Fill with White, and then say OK. And then I'm going to drag that behind. Okay, I'm going to pause there, help you guys get to this step. So this is a layout project. So we used the guides stuck to the sides. So those guides are exactly 8 inches by 8 inches apart from each other. We grew it to 30 by 40 inches, so our paper is 30 by 40 inches. And we grew it from the center. So not only is the paper around it, but this image is perfectly centered by the pixel into that format. That is important. Now we can use the other layout tools in Photoshop, like the guides, which you can find under View and Show. So please go to View, Show, and we're going to turn on the grid. And because we set our versions of Photoshop to measure by inches, this will be an inches grid. And the shortcut for that is Command apostrophe. That will turn your grid on and off, just like Command semicolon turns your guides on and off. So please, everyone, find your grid, because you need it for the next step. You find it under View, Show, Grid. Shortcut for it is Command apostrophe. Okay, now with your grid, hurts the eyes to look at. So I don't like to have this up too much. But it's very important, because now when we use our guides, we're going to make a 1-inch gutter all the way around our center image. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a new guide 1 inch to the right, 1 inch from the top. Using the grid, it will lock it to that 1 inch. It's one big square. 1 inch to the bottom, 1 inch to the left. This will give us perfectly 1-inch gutters between our animation frames, our keyframes. And making guides, clicking on the rulers correctly, it just takes practice. Now we have a template. It's like when you have a really nice card game, like a board game with cards, and then they have like the pressed plastic form where you put all the Monopoly money or whatever it is, right? Now we've got that for each of our animation frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They will nest right into these corners. So now I'm looking at my storyboard and I think, well, what's my first frame? Well, this frame looks pretty good. Frame 1 for the first frame, that works. But maybe frame 2 would be better, because I want to show the rolling of the egg. So you have flexibility here. You have all the pages of your flipbook to use. If you only have 9 pages, which is the minimum you can have, then your choices are already made for you. But I've got like 32, so I have to choose the 9 best out of the 32. I click on that layer, and then from the middle, I just use the Move tool to drag it into place, and then I turn off the other layer. So what's the next image? Maybe that. Maybe I go right to this one. Right? And then maybe I go right to this one. Because I just want to show that it's rolling. Remember to select your layer. I have auto select layer turned off here. I also have transform controls turned off so that I can only move the layer that I select. You can see your different options. Right? Yeah, I think maybe this one's better. So I'll move this one to that third spot. So now it's clear the egg's kind of rolling. And that tells my story better than if I started a panel with no egg. Okay, next, I know I want that point of impact to show. So I can skip all these frames, and I want that one. And that's going to go right here. Okay? And then I need to show it cracking. That's going to be my middle frame. That's the beginning of my big transformation. So I'm going to use the cracking that's more obvious. Right? And then I'm going to start showing the next sequence. Just make sure you're selecting the right layer. And you put them into place. So I think I can skip that one and instead put this one in. And then go to this one. And you're trying to showcase the transformation as best you can through these. So I think I might actually slow this down a bit, because I think I want this to be my last frame. Because the next one's really silly, right? All right. So that now showcases my transformation. From beginning, rolling in, to middle, tapping on the boat and cracking, to end, the creature popping out. All right, now I save this, just File Save, because it's already named my refined storyboard. Make sure you're not saving over your stage. And then you're going to save a copy, and you're going to make it a JPEG because we're filling the whole rectangle. It's a single image to the desktop. Make sure it's not over 5 megabytes. And you might say, but this isn't print quality. It actually is print quality, because 30 inches at 100 pixels per inch is big enough to print 8 inches at 300 pixels per inch. It's all about the number of pixels. So I'm going to mark that JPEG as orange. I'm going to mark the refined storyboard PSD as green. And then this orange is the last requirement that goes into Canvas. And then we are finished with all requirements for assignment 3. So, requirement 3, you don't need to label them, I'm just doing that for you to help out, is a refined storyboard at what measurements? It is 30 inches by 40 inches at 100 pixels per inch. Bless you. And then when we get around to printing for the midterm, you'll see how that makes it print quality at 8 by 10 inches, which is our midterm print size. So I'm going to make that fit in, and now I've got all 3. So I've got a comic book of my transformation, I've got the animation itself, and I've got the rough plan for it. It's okay if your plan changed. Mine changed a little bit, like going up and down. I just didn't have time for that. Okay.